kind of backed everything out a little bit more tonight so you can actually see the bow, so it's not just kind of creepily hovering out in the distance. I've got the Lagavulin, or Lagavulin, depending on how fancy you are, 8-year. And I couldn't find one of my good glasses per usual, so I'm going to be drinking it out of a mason jar. Classy redneck scotch. And then I think I'm going to smoke a Baccarat. Baccarat? How do the fancy people say this one? Baccarat, 1871, Dolce Far Niente. But there's playing cards on it, so that's pretty cool. Wow. So this is the last bow that I planned on purchasing for the year, which means I'm probably going to buy 2 more, is my guess, just based on kind of history and how that's been going. Hoyt Ventum 33. I kind of use an analogy. I would imagine that most people who are watching this have kids, and you've probably got the one kid that's like an A, B student, and then you've probably got the one kid that's like a C, D student. So the kid who gets A's and B's, you're like, yep, great, I expect that. And then you've got the kid who gets C's and D's. But when that kid shows up with like a B plus or an A minus, you're like, holy crap, we're going out for ice cream. Take everybody. And that was what I was concerned that I did by buying the Ventum. I was concerned that the Ventum was the C and D student, that I was just so excited that Hoyt had changed up a bunch of stuff this year that I just bought the bow after shooting it a few times at the shop. That analogy probably kind of sucks a little bit. I did not like the RX series almost at all. It was just, to me, it was just a super underwhelming series of bows that they had made. But this is different. And after having it and shooting it for now a week, this is the real deal. Like, I made a video a little while back kind of saying that if you're a Hoyt shooter, you may not like this bow because it's really different, but I like it. I really like it. So let's go break down some of the things that I like, some of the things that I'm still not sure about, and then some of the things that I don't like about the bow. Let's talk about the cams. So they changed to a binary cam system this year. So there's no more yokes. This is a whole lot more like the Matthews or like the PSE. Seems pretty simple. If you want to change the cam timing, you're just letting go on one of the cams, putting a twist in the cable, and then that's changing cam timing around. So from a shop perspective, pretty easy on that part. Editing Brandon here, that is the worst. Like, sometimes my brain just turns off when I'm actually doing these videos because I'm staring at like a glass lens, not another person. That's not the definition or what a binary cam is. Binary cam basically is both of the cams are designed and manufactured exactly the same way. So as they are rotating exactly the same. It is designed to drive the knock of the arrow on a perfectly straight line as it is exiting the bow. Once it's in tune, it generally stays in tune until the strings wear out and the cables and start to stretch and do things. But mechanical failure is very rare with binary cams. That's probably still not the best definition of it, but it's better than what I had in the video before. Back to the video. On the draw, there's a little bit of hump in the middle, which was the same as last year, but it's not as drastic. I don't know if they just changed the shape of the cam a little bit. That kind of mid hump is still there in this, but it's not as bad as it was last year. The back wall is so much better than it was on all the RX series. Like, it's an actual solid back wall. It's still a cable stop, so it's not a full-on limb stop that just to me feels like a concrete back wall, but it's a nice back wall that you can pull through the shot into. Like, to me, the Hoyt last year just felt like you just kept on pulling, and then it would finally go off. That's not the case with this year's. I can't remember if they did 2 actual cams or if they did 2 cam mods. So basically, if you're on the lower end of the draw length scale, they made one. Again, I can't remember if it's cam or cam mods. I'll put a note here. And then on the higher end of the draw scale, they have a different mod or cam. So for me, I'm running it at 30 inches, and it actually feels a little long. But then when I measure it on the draw board, it's actually a little bit short of where both the VXR and the PSE have been shooting. So I don't know what the deal is. I'm still kind of getting used to the feel of this one here. The nice thing about that is I can adjust the module in place. Like I can just get out a Torx bit, unscrew it, which is actually one of the things that's a little bit annoying. Like, why would you guys not make those Allen bolts? Everything else is an Allen bolt, so I can just have my tool there. I can adjust basically everything else. Everything on the Hamskea, everything on the black gold, but I gotta carry like a separate Torx set if I wanna mess with the freaking cam modules. You should change that to an Allen. It would be more convenient. But it's easy to mess with. You don't have to go online digging up the different settings. It's actually got it stickered to the back of the limb, so that's kind of handy. Whatever that's worth. I don't know how often you're gonna be changing this while you're like in the field, but for me on the front end, I like to tinker around, and I like to see, what does this feel like at 29.5? What does it feel like 30.5? Which, if you're going to do that, you should also be shooting up and downhill, because flat is a totally different thing than when you start getting really angled on your shots. All of a sudden, it feels super, super long or super, super short. So just keep that in mind if you're going to start messing with your draw lengths. I've got the 70-pound limbs on here, and they feel great. They don't feel like they took that little bit of break in that the PSE took. Right out of the box, to me, it still feels exactly the same as it did from day one. Overall, the quality of the manufacturing, like the actual quality of the machine work, looks really solid. I don't think that the actual finish is as good as the Prime, but I bought this in the Kuyu Verde pattern, and you know, I would imagine that getting the camo to wrap around this entire riser versus going with like a solid color is probably significantly more difficult. I don't know what the process they use is, but overall, the machine work looks nice. Like, it looks like they've got everything dialed in the way they should. Whereas to me, the PSE looks like they could still use a little bit of finish work on the back end. When you're tuning, if you need to move the cams now because they got rid of the yoke system that could kind of cant that cam, you've actually got to change the shims. And shims are kind of a pain in the butt. I get why Matthews does the top hat thing. Prime has come up with kind of a cool solution where it's these, bigger, almost like hockey puck type things. PSE has the worst shims that I've ever seen in my life. It's like you need little baby fingers to mess with them. But this is reasonable, and they actually sell a tool that's got a magnet in it so you can stick it to your bow press. I'm sure all the shops have this thing. And basically, you can reach in there, clip it onto a shim, knock the axle out, pull the shim out, pop a new one in, pop it back in. This is definitely worth the $10. If you've got your own press at home and you buy this bow, buy this little tool right here. One of the other things that I was really interested about this bow, you've got 2 stabilizer mounting points, and I was thinking if I use this for Hunter Class at 3D, they have a 12-inch total bar length restriction out front, and this kind of feels like cheating because you have this lower mount where the butt plug is down here. You take that off, and so most of the bows, it's coming off here. So you've got 12 inches, which is going to leave this shy, but this riser kicks out so much at the end, you're buying quite a few more inches, like maybe 6 more inches compared to the PSE or the VXR, which the risers are a little bit straighter on those bows. Let's move into the unknowns. Some of the things that I'm just not sure of about the bow yet. I'm not sure about the grip. It's a contoured grip. I'll have to look and see if it's the one that they've used in the past. I think it probably is. It's a contoured grip, but it's not super contoured. Like, the PSE is really contoured. Like, you put your hand there and that's where your hand is going to go and is going to stay. The Prime this year, my natural hand position on the Prime feels really good because of the way they have the shelf angled. But as far as a contoured grip goes, this is like kind of a sort of non-committal contour, and it's a hard plastic grip. Like, the PSE is more of a soft rubber. The Matthews ones, if you keep the Engage grip on, it's more of a soft. This is just hard and firm. Not sure how I feel about it yet. To be honest, I think so far it's my least favorite of the 3 new bows this year that I've shot. Still going to give it some time. Again, I've only been shooting this for a week, so I want to live with it a little bit more to see what I think. I was hoping with all the extra sound dampening tech that they have on this thing, like you've got these screw-on things down here, you've got limb dampeners on here, you've got string dampeners on here. I mean, you've got like a lot of sound and noise vibration suppression. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit more quiet. It is not loud. It's not loud at all. Like the Prime is loud. The PSE has kind of a weird sound. This sounds nice, but based on all the vibration dampening technology, even the butt plug has like rubber on the inside of it. I thought that this thing was going to be just, but there's still a decent amount of noise that's coming out of it. Again, I'm going to DB test all of these, and I'll also do speed tests with different weight of arrows. But so far, it's totally acceptable. Like there's nothing weird about it, and I like the sound of it. It's to me, it sounds like an aluminum riser bow should sound. Let's get to the bad stuff. Doesn't hold very well. Like even with this guy down here, you get out to 40 yards, and for me, maybe it's different for you. It's a little twitchy. It's a little shaky. It just doesn't. To me, I'm not really inspired with a lot of confidence with a short stabilizer. When I got some stabilizer length on here, all of a sudden things started feeling a little bit better, and I was able to kind of get it under control. The other thing that I don't like is they did not give you a rear hole to mount a rear facing bracket for a back bar if you want to run a back bar. So what you're going to have to do is run a bracket that then you can screw your front off of and screw your back off of. Now, again, the cool thing is because you've got these dual holes, you can kind of pick which way you want to go. This is taking a lot longer than I thought. Or if you want to get crazy, like, why not? Dual stabilizers up front. You can run V-bars out the back. You just stabilizers for days. I don't know if for Hunter class they would consider this to be unacceptable. But again, you're getting the moments of inertia, you're pulling all that weight away from the bow. I feel like this is totally legit. I feel like this is totally something that they would be fine with. No problem. Just stabilizer bars everywhere. I have not had enough time to play with the stabilizers on this thing. I know for a fact that for me, just running a short bar has never felt awesome. I was hoping that because, again, low center of gravity, way out on the front here, that maybe it was going to feel okay with a shorter bar. I've run it with the 6-inch. I've run it with an 8, different weights. Still don't like it. I want a longer bar. The more you can get that weight away from the riser, the more stable it feels. I'm not 100% where I want to be with it, but it does calm down and become completely acceptable with a longer bar. It's kicking out on the shot for me a little bit. Like, I started having kind of flashbacks about the Revolt X last year where it was just kicking out to the left or back kicking really badly. I'm having to kind of high risk the shot, and that will control the bow a little bit more on after it actually fires. But the shot doesn't finish exactly like I was hoping. Like, for some reason, the PSE, I don't know what it is, but that thing just kicks out great. I feel like it's a really natural follow through. The VXR for me has always been just a bow that to me falls straight forward when I shoot it. And then the Prime has been kind of similar, but for some reason with this one, it's still wanting to do some shenanigans. So I think that I may be looped a little bit high. Like, I think that I probably need to come down into the burger hole a little bit more. I don't know that that's going to solve the problem, but it may. So I'm going to withhold judgment on that one, but I just kind of wanted to mention it because for me, it's just a little odd. Like, it didn't just kind of naturally sit. And then the last thing that I've got an issue with, I've got my black gold Pro mounted on here, and I've got the housing as far over as I can get it, and I need it to go further. I need it to go further in. So this comes with the ability for to use the Picatinny mount that's directly on the front instead of off to the side. I've been curious about those sights that are Picatinny mounted because instead of having weight that's pulled off the right-hand side of the bow, now you're positioning that weight more in the center of the bow. I know it's not a lot, but I've been curious to see how that would feel. So I may just kind of use this as an excuse to purchase one of those sights and see how it feels. My black golds are always run pretty far over in order for me to actually get them tuned. Like I'm right at the tail end, but I just happened to run out this time. So that's another one that maybe I'm going to say that's not bad, but I'm going to have to do a little bit more looking to figure it out. Overall, I'm super excited to mess with this bow. It's a little bit longer axle to axle. This is a 33 versus the PSE, which is a 32, versus the VXR, which is a 31.5. And then the Prime that I've got this year is a 34. I'm not noticing a lot more stability out of this. The string angle, I'll have to do some math, and I'll probably put that in a follow-up video, but it's a comfortable shooting bow. I'm just not quite there with it. Again, it's only been a week, but I don't know that this is the C&D student that I was excited because they just made changes. This is a legit bow this year. Last year, the Hoyt didn't make it through round one because of the price and just because of overall, I just didn't really like it. I'm fine to pay more for a bow that I like, but I just didn't really like the RX3. The Venom 33 is a different animal. I am a fan. Those are some of my initial thoughts on the Venom 33. Thanks for watching. I'm Brandon McDonald. I didn't have to relight this one once. 25 minutes. I think this may be the only cigar that I've never actually had to relight. And I wasn't like I was on it the entire time. Thanks, Baccarat. Dolce far niente. Man, I'm like Italian.